What's up and happy Friday, everybody. Week 15 is underway. We had a shootout last night. It took a little while, but it became a shootout, mostly in the fourth quarter and in overtime. And I hope you have Travis Kelce, although I suspect a lot of people who have Travis Kelce had a bye this week. Welcome to the show, Adam and Jamie. And this very small sample size, Jamie, but just looking at all of the leagues that I'm in the playoffs in, I don't think Travis Kelce was in any lineups. It was weird. So the buys.
Yeah, well, could be Travis Kelce manager could have got knocked out.
Or just two straight games with 27 yards. That also hurts.
I have Kelce in 4 leagues maybe. Only had him in one matchup last night where I was the 3 seed. Every other one that I have him. No, I'm sorry. It was 4 leagues. One I missed the playoffs. It was our 2 QB league. And then the other 2 I had a bye.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So now we know everything about the Travis Kelce roster
There you go.
from yesterday. We'll start with that game, Kansas City 34 and the Chargers 28. We are going to go through all of the COVID news and tell you how to approach it, and that's going to take us about an hour and a half, and then we won't have any time to preview the games. But if we do have time, we will talk about Washington and Philadelphia, Minnesota, Chicago, Kirk Cousins in prime time. Is that still a thing? Seattle and the Rams, Dallas and the Giants, Arizona, Detroit, Atlanta, San Francisco. And last game for me, I think, is New Orleans, Tampa Bay, because even though there are some interesting decisions in that game, you're going to start Mike Evans and whatnot. And then we'll talk about it. But all right, let's
a pretty big player that is concerning for a lot of people.
Who, Hill?
Yeah.
We'll definitely get to that. And Fournette not practicing, and what would it mean for Ronald Jones?
It'd be great.
It is the toughest matchup,
But yes, it's tough. But you're banking on this offense being this offense.
Look at this comment about Darrell Williams. Oh man, somebody is so mad. Started Darrell Williams and using some expletives. Well, you should have started Darrell Williams.
I started Darrell Williams in a league where we play 3 receivers, 2 running backs, and 2 flexes, and so I was hoping he scored, and he nearly did twice.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it actually was a bad game for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He lost the goal line work. I don't know if he ever had it, but he didn't get it last night. Let's start with
after the second failed attempt, he was in on the second down and third down.
True.
And he also was in on a 2-point conversion too.
Yes, he did. That is a good point. Donald Parham left in the first quarter. That was scary, and hopefully he's okay. Head injury. Derwin James left in the fourth quarter. Oh my gosh, did you see the stats for Kelce with and without Derwin James?
I'm going to guess they're probably pretty good without him.
Yeah, I retweeted it from Bill Barnwell. I'll tell you in a second. It could be coincidental, obviously, but let's go through that. So Kelce with Derwin James, that's the Chargers safety, on the field. 1 catch for 14 yards, 26 snaps. Kelce without James on the field, 9 catches for 177 yards and 2 touchdowns, 41 defensive snaps. That's pretty wild. All right, anyway, any major takeaways from this game?
Welcome back, Chiefs. Great to see Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes all have a great game on the same day. Well needed at the right time for a lot of people. I'm sure a lot of people that didn't make the playoffs as a result of, the recent struggles, probably saying, where was this for the last month and a half, basically. But great to see, and hopefully it continues. Got a little scare with Tyreek Hill when he was off the field at the start of overtime, but came back in and had, I think, 1 catch, maybe 2. If the trade-off is we lose Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Darrell Williams producing to get Mahomes, Kelce, and Hill, I think most people would take that 10 out of 10, even if you're the Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Darrell Williams fantasy manager.
Got an email from a man named Chris who wrote, "Can we finally acknowledge what we've been seeing most of the season? Mahomes is absolutely worthless. How long do we have to keep pretending he's good?" The subject, by the way, was Mahomes is trash. Not long after, he wrote us another email. "Ignore the Mahomes email, winky face. But darned if it wasn't a stressful first 3 quarters." Agreed. So that is my question here, because he looked terrible. I thought, and I had defended him on the live stream yesterday, Mahomes. It wasn't like he was playing poorly per se. He just, was very conservative. They were taking away the big play, a lot of drops by the receivers over this last 6-7 games. I mean, But I thought he actually played poorly yesterday. Off target, the throw to Hardman when he was wide open for a touchdown. He didn't get a good grip on it, kind of spiked it. The interception to the defensive lineman was bad. So I think if you stopped watching at the start of the third quarter when they had 13 points, none of this optimism exists. Are you convinced after one quarter and then a drive in overtime that the Chiefs are we don't know if they're back, but that they're absolute must-starts, no-brainers? My thought was, wow, we're going to say this is finally the time where we're sitting Mahomes next week. And that's obviously not the case anymore.
I don't think anybody was ever going to get to that point of sitting Mahomes. Because here's the thing. If you're winning in spite of him, this is always the potential. So,
but do you feel good about him right now?
I feel much better about him right now than I did, 48 hours ago. I feel much better about them finally showing you that they're capable of this still. Not that I didn't think they could, but at least they showed it to you. So they're playing for the 1 seed. They have a big opportunity in front of them, and I think the hope would be, and part of this, I think, I guess let me backtrack for a second. I think part of this is tied into what happened on the other side of the ball. Missing 3 defenders. This is the worst his defense has looked in the last 6 weeks.
The Chiefs. And they hung in there for a while.
What do you mean?
It was 14-13 going into the fourth quarter. Now, they had a lot of fourth down stops. They could have given up a lot more points.
Oh, this game could have been a rout if they converted those, red zone opportunities. Mm-hmm. But I think that's part of it, is that they were forced into this situation offensively. So...
Right. So if Chris Jones comes back next week, if Chris Jones and Snead are back next week and they're facing Pittsburgh,
right? But again, it's just a matter of, can they do this without the chasing point scenario? And so I guess that's probably the bigger question.
Yeah,
because this felt like 2020 Chiefs, 2019 Chiefs, where teams were, remember how they used to just let you run on them?
Sure. Yeah.
And that's what the Chargers did. They ran on them. And then it was, okay, we know we're going to – it was basically like, how you mentioned this yesterday, I think, with the Patriots. That's kind of how their defense always felt, was we'll let you run between the 20s, but we'll stop you in the red zone. Not to the same success as the Patriots. But that's kind of how it was. You can run, think you're going to kill a clock on us, kick field goals, and then we're going to score big plays on you. And so that's kind of how it felt a little bit.
Mahomes scored 35 fantasy points. Herbert scored 36. I think it was it was a frustrating game just to watch, because I really felt like the Chargers should have won that game.
Oh, absolutely.
They blew it. And I almost feel like the Chiefs passing game, except for Hill, didn't really deserve the numbers. Kelsey, I can't say he got lucky. The one play, the 69-yard catch, just the guy fell down and Kelsey took advantage. But look, I'm glad it happened. Obviously, you want to see these guys come through. It was just I wasn't rooting against the Chiefs. I like the Chiefs. I don't know. It just something left a bad taste in my mouth about this game. I guess it was just the Chargers falling all over their face on fourth down every time. But on the Chargers side, look, don't be concerned about Eckler. Obviously, not 100%. You don't see him play 34% of the snaps and have Jackson and Kelly have that kind of role. So he's fine. And Herbert, probably played better than his numbers, Jamie. You had some touchdown opportunities that didn't go his way.
Oh, Mike Williams, what a frustrating night.
That's the one guy we should probably talk about here. I ended up having to start him because I just was looking at all this COVID news, and I just said, I got to take a guy that I know is playing.
Yep.
And so,
and a great history against this team.
Right. And so many opportunities.
That first drive.
Yeah.
First drive. Three opportunities in the end zone. One wasn't his fault. One was a bad throw. One hit him right in the chest.
Tough
and
ball.
then
That was
almost fumble.
That was a heater, though. That one in the chest. That was like,
you got to catch that, though.
I think you got to catch that.
Your job. I mean, this is a separate conversation. Those plays are costing him millions.
Yeah.
He's a free agent.
I don't know if he's healthy, because the guy just cannot separate. He is never open. He's always covered. And he has to catch a big pass.
You think of him as a burner like that?
No, but I mean, he's got to be better than this. I've been watching his targets lately, going back and watching the tape or the film, whatever it is. He just doesn't separate. And, you know what? You're annoyed about the first drive. I'm annoyed about the last drive. He's streaking up the field. Turn around. What are you doing? Turn around.
Yeah.
I can't trust them. All right.
No, I had the same thing. I was looking at my lineup and I'm like, I got Sony Michel. What happens if Henderson plays? This is a flex spot. I had Ronald Jones available on waivers, so I'm gonna wait that out. There was a couple. I remember all the decisions. Elijah Mitchell, I think, was another player, and I was like, I'm just gonna take my chances. I'd read a blog, a Chargers blog about Mike Hughes, and if they get matched up against each other, it's a great situation for Williams. That's who was covering him in the first game when he went off against them in week 3 or 4, whatever it was. And so I was like, okay,
Hughes covered Keenan Allen. I think he played a lot in the slot.
Yeah, no, it was Ward and I forget the other corner.
Baker a little bit, maybe.
It was it was a good gamble. Had it gone a different way, you're obviously smiling.
It could have been a good game. He got 9 targets, but it's tough to trust him. Next week they're at Houston, which you say, oh, great, Houston. Well, teams just run all over Houston. I don't know, you're getting 38 pass attempts. Maybe. The Chargers don't run a lot to begin with. So we reassess, but I think number 3 receiver.
Oh, yeah.
At best, right? Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we'll talk more about this game at noon on CBS Sports HQ today on Friday, but also on Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. It is your pregame show to help you get ready for the fantasy playoffs. And talk about the Saturday games a little bit. We got a couple of Saturday games. That'll be fun. Although I wouldn't mind seeing one of those games get moved to Sunday or Monday. And if you are listening, so anyway, again, that's CBS Sports HQ, 10 a.m. Eastern to 1 p.m. Check it out. If you are listening on Spotify, you can now leave a rating. Please leave a 5-star rating if you enjoy the show. We would really appreciate it on Spotify. So let's talk about all of the players that are on the COVID list. Now, the NFL is making an attempt to change the protocols. They've changed the protocols to give players a better chance of getting back on the field. It's a mess right now. But the big ones, Jalen Waddle, Tyler Lockett, Allen Robinson, Baker Mayfield, and Case Keenum, Odell Beckham. Some of this is old news, I guess. Odell Beckham, Darrell Henderson. There are more.
All the Dolphins.
Yeah, the Dolphins running backs are still on it.
They had another one.
Yeah, they did. Not one we were considering, but
Jared Dokes. Well, Heath and Dave were kind of excited about him.
Were they?
Yeah.
Dokes always makes me think of Dexter. For all you Dexter fans out there, yeah, and there's a lot more. But let's start with Waddle.
Hooper too.
Yeah, Hooper.
Although at this point,
I
was going to say at this point, Hooper, you can stay if you have David Njoku. Obviously I'm joking, but it alleviates. It helps us to have one of those guys.
But how much faith are you going to have in Njoku if he's in on Saturday in a great matchup, but with bad weather probably and Nick Mullins?
So my choices were as a Darren Waller manager, David Njoku or Tyler Higbee. And so I would take my chances with David Njoku, knowing that the Rams COVID situation is a little bit messy also. And so if he plays, I would start him even with Nick Mullins. But look, you mentioned it. We could get to Saturday and Baker's cleared.
That is true. Well, he was very mean to the NFL, so I don't know.
He was a little upset.
Devontae Parker, totally must start now?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. We're going to do this as if these players are not coming back. That's what would normally happen, in a typical week with the old protocols. Guys that go on the COVID list, they have not typically been coming off until the following week, even if they're vaccinated. But things could change. But so
there was some confusion. I still don't even know, to be honest with you, if this is taking place this week or next week.
I think it's immediate.
I thought so as well, but I've seen some different opinions on that. But
okay. Tyler Lockett on the COVID list, also Alex Collins. But DK Metcalf, basically every wide receiver is either on the COVID list or hurt. But Lockett's on the COVID list. Metcalf hasn't been practicing.
Yes.
Swain hasn't been practicing. Swain.
Right. And
Eskridge. Yeah.
Yep. Just to go back from yesterday's show where I said Metcalf was a sit. Obviously, if Lockett does not play, Metcalf is no longer a sit.
Is he ahead of, would you start Parker or Metcalf in this scenario?
I'll probably reevaluate that. I think initially I put Metcalf ahead, but he's just he's gonna get peppered with targets.
You'd think so. And I think if Ramsey plays, that would be interesting. See if Ramsey comes off the COVID list.
Will they change their approach and just make him shadow?
So they did. The reason why I was telling people to sit Hopkins last week is because I really felt Ramsey was going to shadow him, and I felt that way because he shadowed Adams more so than I think any other wide receiver, and that was the Rams' previous game, Devontae Adams. Ramsey was on him quite a bit, so I thought, all right, maybe they're going to actually use Ramsey in that, when there's one clear wide receiver to shadow. And I think if Locke gets out, it would make a lot of sense. But yeah, the target, there's no way I could sit Metcalf if Lockett's out. How about Allen Robinson? It could be a big deal for Mooney against a team that gives up the most fantasy points to wide receivers.
I liked Mooney regardless, so it didn't really change my opinion of this because Robinson has been such a non-factor, whether not playing or even last week. So I didn't move Mooney at all, unless it was like, taking. I guess he moved up a little bit, like taking Tyler Lockett out, and Waddle out, so he moved up maybe a spot or two. But he was always on the cusp of a top 24 receiver for me, so he may have crept into the top 24. But I like the setup a lot. I just think that the Vikings secondary has shown you enough cracks that he would have some success this week, or should.
And then the non-skill position players. You look at the Washington front four and the backups in there. They're decimated.
Yep.
And the Cleveland secondary, decimated. And by the way, Darrell Henderson and Odell Beckham, I think I mentioned those. So, but, Derek Carr, are you any more interested? It is really bad for the Cleveland secondary right now, and that's a Saturday game. So Derek Carr on Saturday, and then, the Eagles will be in a good spot on Sunday. But what do you think about Carr? Can we give him a look?
You can, but this is not the environment where he typically does well. It's cold weather. It's windy. I think this is a running game for both these teams. Jacobs will get a lot of opportunities because this is the type of game script where he typically has success, and he'll be involved in the passing game. So maybe, there's some cheap opportunities there for Derek Carr, but his numbers without Darren Waller have just been bad. It's like 4 of 5 or 3 of 4, whatever it is, with under 20 fantasy points. And so he's just been struggling. The one game which was the surprise was the Dallas game. And that was the game where Waller got hurt.
Yeah, that big play from Deshaun Jackson. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the Giants, 2 defensive backs are on the reserve COVID list. One of them is going to miss the game anyway, Adoree Jackson. But Xavier McKinney, that'd be a huge loss for them. Looks like he has a good chance to play. Starting safety for them, probably their best. I don't know. He's very good. But he's unvaccinated, but he's a close contact. Didn't test positive, could return on Saturday. For Chicago, Eddie Jackson and Eddie Goldman, 2 key members on their defense, are on the reserve COVID list. So is Mario Edwards, who's kind of a rotational player, pass rusher. Oh, this is a big one. Kenny Clark is out for the Packers. He is a huge part of their defense. Defensive tackle. He's the key to their run defense, so that helps Freeman, right?
That's another one, yeah. So yesterday I had said Devontae Freeman didn't love him. That changed it entirely, so not that Freeman's a guaranteed slam dunk top 15 guy, but he's back in the top 20 for sure.
What about the Lions running backs right now? How do you have it ranked?
Reynolds and nobody else. So Williams plays, it changes things, but as of now, you got to go with Reynolds as a flex. Okay,
Reynolds or Rashad Penny?
Oh, Penny still.
Okay.
Especially with Alex Collins out.
Yeah. Cincinnati cornerback Chidobe Awuzie is on the reserve COVID list. He's been a pretty key player for them. And we don't think it'll matter this week.
Now Cortland Sutton will crack 40 yards.
There you go. Rodney Hudson, center for the Cardinals. He is on the reserve COVID list facing the Detroit Lions.
That's a big situation there because you got the running back concerns. Like, how much can Chase Edmonds succeed potentially if there is no Connor?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I mean, not to talk about my own teams here, but I have Edmonds on 2 teams, and if Edmonds plays and Connor doesn't, I will easily start him over Rashad Penny. And
full agreement.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, so what if they both play?
I would start Penny over Edmonds then, in your situation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
But I would still start Connor.
You think Connor would still get his?
Yeah, I mean, the only concern would be is that they should win this game easily. And so will they, consider resting him? They've shown you, they've kind of tipped their hand with injuries, right? I mean, Kyler probably could have played through the ankle injury and they rested him. Hopkins probably could have played through the hamstring injury, but they rested him. And so, they're not opposed to that right now. Now, granted, they were doing that with an advantage of holding on to the 1 seed. But now that they are, in the fight for it, maybe these guys play a little bit more in these concerns. But clearly they shut down Hopkins, which turned out to be maybe not coming back for the playoffs.
All right, this holiday season, the best deal in wireless is at Mint Mobile. Right now, when you switch to Mint Mobile and buy any 3-month plan, you'll get another 3 months for free. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. Take advantage of this limited time holiday sale and get any 3-month Mint Mobile plan plus 3 more months free at mintmobile.com/FFT. That is mintmobile.com/FFT. If you, like me, can't believe how expensive cell phone service is this day and age, take a look at Mint Mobile. I've got it. It works great. It's $15 a month. So, whether you want to take my word, you've seen Ryan Reynolds talk about it too on TV. I think they probably
both very handsome men.
Yeah, right. They was like, hey, you look a lot like Ryan Reynolds. Why don't you talk about Mint Mobile? I'm telling you, why would you pay so much money when you can get $15 a month at Mint Mobile? Take a look. Go to mintmobile.com/FFT and you can get 3 free months in addition to the first 3 months. All right, great deal. Happy holidays. You're welcome, folks. mintmobile.com/FFT. What's your favorite Ryan Reynolds movie?
My favorite Ryan Reynolds movie is Adventureland, starring Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah, that was a good one. Have you seen Just Friends?
He has a what is it? Not starring role. What do they call it? The
supporting
role. Yes, he's a supporting actor in that movie. Very, very well done. My favorite starring role of Ryan Reynolds is got to be Deadpool.
Oh, I've never seen that. Yeah.
What?
I know. I watched.
It's so funny.
I've heard. He's awesome.
Yeah, he is.
He's in Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
He is not in Guardians of the Galaxy.
What is he in? Oh, he's in. I'm thinking of Chris Pratt. They kind of are similar. Just Friends. Have you seen it?
Yes, he's great in that in the fat suit. Yes.
Just Friends is awesome.
Just Friends is great. Yeah, no, he's good.
All right, everybody. Let's give you some more news and notes in case the COVID list wasn't enough. Not my favorite topic, not the most exciting stuff, but obviously very important. Leonard Fournette missed practice with an ankle injury. They face the Saints on Sunday night. They don't have Giovanni Bernard, so maybe you would get the passing downs role from Ronald Jones. So if Ronald Jones were to start, where would he be ranked?
Top 20. I think, again, you look at this offense and, you buy into what Leonard Fournette has been doing, and then you just downgrade it, probably by like 20 or 30%, but still starting running back. So starting caliber running back. So I would probably start Ronald Jones over Ezekiel Elliott, over maybe, I was going to say maybe the Cardinals running backs, just knowing that they're going to split it, but it's Detroit. But I would probably, I'd start him over Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon.
Wow.
Or Devontae Freeman.
Man, that's a lot of faith in him because Fournette's only bad game, I'd say, since he became the feature back was against the Saints. He ran horribly. And Zeke, Jamie, Zeke said it's the best he's felt. Another week.
I'll tell you what, Leonard Williams will sway a lot of this. Williams trying to play with one arm.
He shouldn't sway that much. Their run defense stinks anyway. But yeah,
you take him out of that, though. It's even worse.
It is much worse. Aaron Jones missed practice. Right now, I think we expect him to play, but he was out yesterday. Elijah Mitchell.
I'll tell you what, I would like it if he's out.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would. Elijah Mitchell has not practiced, so he's still in the concussion protocol. David Montgomery missed practice with an illness. Marquise Brown, same thing. Green Bay left tackle David Bakhtiari was in pads. They really could use some help on the offensive line. TJ Hawkinson out for the season. What a bummer. Right now, I think he's the number 7 tight end in PPR. That's not per game, but he actually has been okay. Minnesota is hopeful that Adam Thielen will play. Lamar Jackson missed practice. What about Lamar Jackson right now?
Doesn't sound good. We'll obviously, probably have a better indication on the mailbag show because we'll find out if he practices or not by then. But I think there was the NFL Network report, Mike Garofalo, saying that they were hoping Thursday he would return, and the fact that he didn't return on Thursday is a bad sign.
Terry McLaurin did position drills. He's making good progress. J.D. McKissick, not quite as optimistic there. He's still missing practice. Darren Waller's out. David Njoku is in. Kareem Hunt is out. Javonte Williams missed practice. He's expected to play. Steelers defense getting healthier in this game against Tennessee. TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Robert Spillane, all practiced in full. Joe Hayden was limited. That's good news. Good to see him back out there. Josh Allen was limited, but he's expected to play against Carolina. Star Latulele, defensive tackle, key player for the Bills. He was limited in practice as he tries to come back from an absence. Jalen Hurts, Jordan Howard, Miles Sanders, all limited. Same with Damian Harris. Are you assuming that Howard, Sanders, and Damian Harris play?
I think you have to at this point. We'll the nice thing about the Patriots situation is you'll know Saturday, so that will impact your decisions for Sunday. But you obviously have to pay attention because it's a night game on Saturday, so don't forget about that. But if Harris plays, I think I give him a slight nod over Ramondre Stevenson, but it's so tricky because Stevenson has been practicing all week and seemingly the healthier of the two. And if you look at the projections on our site from Sportsline, they like Stevenson better. So it's really one of those decisions where it's probably going to be whoever scores the touchdown of the two. Because last time we saw them, Stevenson got a lot of work against Buffalo. In terms of the Eagles, yes, I'm expecting them all to play. So I would rank them Sanders 1, Howard 2, and probably avoid the other two in terms of Scott and Gainwell. But Howard, I think, has some flex appeal because of all the injuries in Washington. Sanders has, starting appeal as a number 2 option. And then I almost feel like at this point, I would like the Eagles to rest Jalen Hurts one more week, and then fantasy managers can maybe pivot to Gardner Minshew as a streamer, because we saw against a team that you can run against when he started against the Jets, he still got you 22 fantasy points, and I think he could be in that range once again.
Yeah, and I think Hurts is really tough. I think he's one of the toughest players. If I were ranking, he'd be one of my toughest players to rank. I mean, start-sit decisions, he's going to be a real challenge for me. If he were fully healthy, I'd be very confident. Washington has no defensive players, and they give up the most fantasy points to quarterbacks.
Adam, I went into the week with Jalen Hurts as the start of the week.
Oh, there you go.
I was writing it. I usually write this Wednesday, and it's my entire day. It's you see anybody reads it sees how long it is, so it's a bear to write. And I saved the start of the week for the end because we send out the positions throughout the day. And so Jalen Hurts the entire day was okay, start of the week. And then I'm reading practice reports as I'm writing it, and I usually try to get it to our editors by around 5:00. And it's like 4:55 and I still haven't started writing yet. And I'm reading all these practice reports about Jalen Hurts, about splitting reps and how he says he feels. And I'm like, I can't make him the start of the week. I'm going to, what am I doing here? So, made the decision to go with James Robinson, and it was, worked out obviously from the Urban Meyer standpoint, but I loved Jalen Hurts this week and still do if he plays. But, the fact that he's not 100% is trouble.
And your James Robinson pick looks even better. Darrell Bevel gave him a vote of confidence, said he is the starter and will be treated as such.
Yep.
Josh Reynolds was limited with a thigh injury. Riley Reif, right tackle for the Bengals, he is out this week at Denver. All right, let's do Beat the Waiver Wire. I'm just going to refer back to my Tuesday notes from the Waiver Wire show, and I'll tell you the quarterbacks you could be looking at. I think Tua at the Saints if he's still available. Taysom Hill if anybody drops him or something like that. Ben Roethlisberger's at Kansas City. It's not great. Cam Newton against Tampa Bay. What's that? Yeah, week 16. Mm-hmm. So it's not bad, but I don't think you want to trust Matt Ryan against Detroit or anything like that. If you want a tight end, Evan Ingram is at Philadelphia. Noah Fant is at Las Vegas. They are horrible against tight ends. Cole Kmet is at Seattle. They are horrible against tight ends. CJ Uzama against Baltimore. They are horrible against tight ends. Brevin Jordan against the Chargers. They are horrible against tight ends, especially if Derwin James doesn't play. And James O'Shaughnessy at the Jets. Those are the tight ends who have the best matchups. Ingram, Fant, Kmet, Uzama, Brevin Jordan, and James O'Shaughnessy. Most likely, if you're stashing anyone, it's going to be a DST. And you could look at the Falcons against Detroit. You could look at the Jaguars and Jets game and see if you want someone there. The Chargers, you can't trust them anymore, but they're at Houston. The Eagles are a great choice. First of all, this week you can use them, and then next week they have the Giants, and then the following week they have Washington again.
Yep.
Seattle against Chicago, Denver at Las Vegas, and the Dolphins at the Saints. Some good DSTs. If you don't want to stash one, there should be plenty on the waiver wire, I think, especially when we're talking about.
If you have a bye, you should be picking up the Eagles.
Yeah, pick up the Eagles
already.
And I don't know if there are any other players that, were last week's Rashad Penny other than handcuffs? I can't really, think of anybody who could take over the starting role.
Well, I mean, you should probably pick up Ronald Jones just in case Fournette re-aggravates his injury during the week. So the Bears situation. Huh?
Oh, sorry. How about Malcolm Brown?
I guess, but I mean, I would imagine if everybody's healthy, it's still Gaskin's job, and you're hoping for Malcolm Brown to fall into the end zone if he's the second guy.
What were you going to say about the Bears?
Well, David Montgomery showed up with an illness. So did Khalil Herbert. So who knows what that means? It's non-COVID related, but still, you could look at Khalil Herbert just in case something happens to David Montgomery.
Jordan Howard is under rostered to me. He's 22% rostered.
Jordan Howard is a very good call. Yes. I would also say you might want to, if you have a roster spot, a deeper league, and he got dropped, maybe Zach Moss. Because last time they played the Patriots, remember it was a bad weather situation. They did elevate him if they go back to him at any point, maybe in the final 2 games of the season.
And there are a lot of wide receivers that are out there. Maybe Rondale Moore gets an uptick with Hopkins out for the year. He's 38% rostered. Will Fuller, 22%. I don't know if you want that, but Allen Lazard, 18%. Josh Reynolds. How about St. Brown? Where's Amon-Ra St. Brown? He is 45% rostered. There's some guys. Jacoby Myers, 54%. Okay. Anyway, let's go to one question for each game. Start getting into the slate. 7 NFC home games. Washington, Philadelphia. Who is the best running back in this game?
The best running back in this game for me will be Miles Sanders if he's healthy, and then Antonio Gibson. I'm so concerned about Gibson. This is let me change it, as a matter of fact. I should have put him as a like but don't love guy for today's show.
Oh, yeah.
Just nervous. If McKissick plays, doesn't seem that way, then you lose, potential passing downs work. But the fact that McKissick is still not clear the concussion protocol is a good sign for Gibson. But, I mean, this is a rested defense coming off a bye. They've been, good at times against the run. I think this is going to be a banged-up Taylor Heineke for sure. Maybe no Terry McLaurin. They're going to be the defense is going to be on the field all day.
That's the problem. The time of possession. The Eagles have been dominating with that. They have not given up more than 8 non-PPR fantasy points to a running back in 6 straight games. That's when they went to their run-heavy, control-the-clock offense. And only one running back has more than 12 PPR fantasy points in those 6 games. That was Ingram, and he had 14. It's been a terrible matchup for running backs. How about Minnesota-Chicago? Do you trust David Montgomery, assuming he plays? Monday night, do you trust David Montgomery?
Yes. I think you saw his work in the passing game against Packers was good from Justin Fields. So I hope that will continue. I don't think he's a number 1 running back, but I think he's a safe number 2 guy.
Seattle and the Rams. How are we feeling about Rashad Penny?
I feel better that Alex Collins is not going to play, or at least trending in that direction. We'll find out what they do with Peterson. Sounds like he will play. But I think, you saw the upside for what Penny can be. And I'll see if I can find it as the show goes on or when we get to that game. There was a pretty good stat about what he does. And, I can probably just look it up. What he does in games where he has 10 plus carries. It's been like fantastic production. I can't imagine he's getting less than 10 carries this week. So, if that workload holds, he's got a chance to be successful.
Dallas and the Giants. Zeke or Barkley?
Zeke. Barkley. Probably Zeke. Barkley makes me so nervous.
Yeah. What, are they ahead of Rashad Penny?
Yeah.
How many good running backs are there this week?
3.
Arizona and Detroit.
One of them played last night.
Who is the best wide receiver in the Arizona-Detroit game?
Best wide receiver in the Arizona-Detroit game. I have it ranked right now. Non-PPR, Kirk, Amon-Ra St. Brown, AJ Green. In PPR, I think I have it ranked Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kirk, AJ Green.
That is wild. St. Brown ahead of those. I mean, it's not that wild, I guess. But I don't know if
you tell me with any certainty who's going to be the best Cardinals receiver this week?
No, definitely not. I think Kirk is sort of becoming big player bust. And Green has crushed him in red zone targets this year. So I'd probably lean green, but no, I can't tell you with certainty. I'm just worried about St. Brown having, a 30-yard game. And it's been
it might be a 30-yard game, but it'd be 9 catches for 30 yards.
That could be. I mean, no Hawkinson certainly helps, and right now, still no sign of Swift. So I think that, that makes sense. There's a safety thing there. Atlanta, San Francisco. Russell Gage or Brandon Ayuk?
Brandon Ayuk.
And New Orleans, Tampa Bay. Would you start Mike Evans, given his terrible history against the Saints in the Marshawn Lattimore era? He has one game in 9 tries with more than 13 PPR fantasy points. One game. Incredible. Mike Evans.
Yes, I still trust him.
Okay. How about Taysom Hill?
I have a really tough call to make, and I think this is something probably a lot of people are dealing with. Do you trust Cousins in a primetime game? Do you trust Russell Wilson without Tyler Lockett? Do you trust Tua Tagovailoa without Jalen Waddle? Or do you trust Taysom Hill against that defense? And so the way I have it ranked right now is Cousins, Tua, Taysom, Wilson. And so all from, I think, 9 through 13.
Okay. That's tough. So, all right, that's going to bring us to our games. Now, look, it's almost 37 minutes in, and we haven't gotten to a game yet because of all the COVID news. So I'm going to do the Startometer here for the last 3 games we're going to get to, which might not be until the games start on Sunday. But Arizona and Detroit. Kyler Murray, 0 to 10.
9.
James Conner, if he plays.
9.
Chase Edmonds, if Conner plays.
5.
Chase Edmonds, if Conner's out.
9.
AJ Green, Christian Kirk.
8 for Kirk, 7 for Green.
Ertz.
6.
How about Craig Reynolds?
4.
Reynolds or Chase Edmonds if Conner plays?
Edmonds. In PPR, Reynolds and not.
How about St. Brown? Obviously, you like a lot. Josh Reynolds?
5.
Cardinals DST?
10.
Atlanta and San Francisco.
How about our friend J. Darren Darst asking about the Raiders DST or the Cardinals DST?
No, I get it. We both said Cardinals, but where'd you end up with the Raiders DST?
13, I think.
Okay. Atlanta, San Francisco. Matt Ryan.
2.
Cordero Patterson.
He's an interesting beat the waiver wire guy against the Lions.
Yeah. Cordero Patterson.
15.
Yeah, he comes through every week, so he's a must start.
You can't. I mean, it's a question of start or succeed. Start, he's 100%. Succeed, probably an 8.
It's just he's not getting catches anymore. He's just strictly a running back.
Targets last week though.
Okay, I hope so. The Niners' run defense has been very good. Who else in this game? Mike Davis.
Mike Davis is a 4.
Russell Gage.
7.
Mike Davis or Craig Reynolds?
Reynolds in non-PPR. Davis in PPR.
Gage is a 7. Kyle Pitts.
Oh boy. What did I say for Ertz? A 6? 5.
Garoppolo.
5.
Jeff Wilson.
4.
Deebo Samuel.
15.
Ayuk.
8.
Deebo Samuel and Patterson are basically running backs now.
Oh, I mean, I've been saying it all week. That's a Spider-Man meme. They're going to look at each other and go, hey,
look. Kittle is a 15. New Orleans at Tampa Bay. Taysom Hill.
A 7.
Wow, that's high. That's high. Okay, how about Kamara?
You know what's going to happen. He's going to have probably 13 to 15 fantasy points going into the fourth quarter.
Going into the last drive.
Maybe going into the last drive. He'll have a turnover. No, in the fourth quarter, he'll have a turnover to drop him down. I'm going to say he has 15 points going into the fourth quarter. He'll have a turnover to drop him down to 13 points. And then he will have a touchdown drive that he scores somehow, throwing or rushing, and he gets to 20 fantasy points.
Okay. How about Kamara?
21 fantasy points. He'll get 2 points, non-touchdown, and then the 6.
Kamara or Hill?
Kamara is a must-start running back.
Okay. Any wide receiver for the Saints?
No. Traquan would be the best, but no.
Nick Vannett?
If you're desperate.
Tom Brady?
$1 billion.
Yeah, bad history against this team. I know he had a huge game in earlier this year, but a little bit of a struggle. How about we talked about Fournette and Jones? Evans, you said, is a must start. So Gronk. Okay, but start the Bucs. All right, finally, it is time to go to the games. Washington at Philadelphia. Your updated stat of the game every week will tell you about Philadelphia against tight ends. A tight end has 77 yards or a touchdown in 9 straight games against the Eagles. What do you think about Seals Jones?
I think he's a good streamer. It's a great matchup. You just have to wonder, was last week the shake the rust off game, or was that last week an indication of he's not going to assume the lead role completely, and it'll be shared between him and Bates. So I buy into it if I'm stuck. So he's definitely in that range of Tyler Higbee and David Njoku, like we talked about earlier. But I think those guys, at least that they're locked into their scenarios. But desperation, I would start. Like, I have him ranked ahead of Noah Fant. I just can't trust Fant at this point. Fant has probably just as good a matchup.
The Eagles are no longer worst against tight ends.
Who has passed them? Chargers.
Yes. The Chargers now, just barely, in non-PPR, give up more fantasy points to Philadelphia. I'm not sure about Philadelphia to tight ends. Not sure about PPR. Here's a new stat of the game. Oh, I already gave it. It's about how good the Eagles have been against running backs in their last 6 games. And they're allowing 3.98 yards per carry to running backs. They're seeing just 17.3 running back carries per game in their last 6 games. To put that in perspective, if they had done that over a full season, that would be the second fewest in the NFL. Only Tampa Bay sees fewer running back carries than what the Eagles have seen in their last 6 games. They're controlling the clock. 4 of their last 6 games, it's 35 minutes or more of possession. So what do we do with Gibson? I mean, at least if McKissick doesn't play, I can hope that he catches a few passes. But there are a lot of questionable running backs. How about the NFC East guys? You said you like Sanders better than Gibson. What about Zeke, Barkley, Gibson?
I have Gibson ranked ahead of them right now. I don't want to fall into, and I hope people don't, of last week is what he is now, because he fumbled and they were just, completely game scripted out of it. And he didn't do much at the end of the game, when they were really down, and the Cole Holcomb interception kind of changed the score a little bit. So I'm hoping that the workload in the passing game is there. Think about where we were at the start of his positive stretch, where it was the Tampa Bay game. Remember, bad matchup, and he ended up getting over 20 carries and finding the end zone. So they're not going to just roll over to Philadelphia, even though they're so beat up. So unless this game gets completely out of whack, Gibson will still have an opportunity, I think, to score and to grind his way to decent total yardage. So not a number 1 run. Like last week, he was in my top 5. This week, he's barely in my top 20.
Yeah, he's so much better when they win. That when they can control the clock and run the ball like they want to. And it's going to be tough with their defense the way it is right now. Sony Michel or Fournette?
Fournette, I'm sorry.
Fournette. Why did I say Fournette? Sony Michel or Gibson?
Yeah, I was thinking Gibson. I'm sorry.
You were right.
Michel.
You said Michel? Okay.
Yeah, that's if Henderson's out. If Henderson's in, I'll probably go Gibson.
How do you feel about Terry McLaurin this week?
Don't love him. I mean, obviously going to see Darius Slay struggled against the Eagles in 2 games last year, where Slay played a lot on him. And so banged up, quarterback banged up, game script. He's not a top 24 receiver. He'll be in the top 30, but 2 receiver leagues, I would set him.
Would you go with Ayuk, Russell Gage, McLaurin?
All the other guys over McLaurin.
Pittman or McLaurin?
Probably McLaurin over Pittman.
The Eagles have really given up 5 or 6 good games to wide receivers this year, and they're pretty much all stars. Deebo Samuel, Tyreek Hill, Antonio Brown, Keenan Allen, and Elijah Moore. Those are the only 5 wide receivers who have scored more than 14 PPR fantasy points.
And the Tyreek Hill game was, they made an effort to put Slay on Kelsey.
Yeah. And 4 of those 5 had 12 to 13 targets. Deebo only had 8. It has been a long time since Terry McLaurin has had 12 to 13 targets. Okay, let's see. So that pretty much covers Washington. A little hesitant on basically all of them. We're sitting Heineke. Seals Jones is a decent sleeper. He didn't play a lot last week, but when he was healthy and Logan Thomas was out, he was playing basically every snap. So that's why Jamie said hopefully it was a shake the rust off game for Seals Jones. On the other side of the ball, okay, Jalen Hurts, man. So where have you settled on Hurts right now, who has this ankle injury, who earlier this week was splitting reps with Gardner Minshew, but he's facing, just look at what Cam Newton did a few weeks ago. That's got to be on your mind against Washington. They have no defensive linemen. Oh, man. Where'd you settle on Hurts as of now?
I mean, I have him ranked as if he's playing full go, which is 7th. So, assuming he gets a full practice in today, I will leave him there. If he doesn't, then I'll probably drop him down a spot or 2. But once we get into that 8-9 range, it's just the murky quarterbacks. So if he's out, Gardner Minshew is a top 12 quarterback.
Who do you like better? I mean, would you rather be Minshew or Hurts? Who would you rank higher?
I would both healthy?
Yes.
Hurts.
Well, no. Hurts playing, but he's obviously got the ankle injury. There's no way.
I guess I was getting at if you told me Hurts is healthy, where would I rank him? Or if you tell me he's out and Minshew's playing?
Yeah, so healthy enough to play, obviously, Jalen Hurts, but dealing with the ankle injury like he is right now.
If they say he's healthy enough to play and he gets through a full practice on Friday, I will have him where I have him ranked. If he's limited but he's still starting, then I will probably, depending on what happens with Jalen Waddle and Tyler Lockett, put him behind those guys. So still in the top 12, 13 range, no lower than that, but down near the bottom of that.
All right. Miles Sanders, where are you going to end up with him in your rankings if he plays?
Top 20. Top
Okay.
20. It's just such a good opportunity. Now, he may lose goal line touches. He may lose passing down work. You just never know. But this defense, like you said, it's so beat up. Now, they may get guys back, depending on how the protocols change. So just keep that in mind. So, don't yell at us because you said start Miles Sanders. And then all of a sudden, they're all healthy. Jonathan Allen's playing, et cetera. So just keep that in mind. But I think as of now, knowing what we know, Sanders plays, you gotta feel pretty good about it.
But honestly, they run on everyone. I mean, if Hurts is playing, they run on everyone, and they ran all over.
But it's not. It's who will run on all of them. It is. We have not seen Miles Sanders healthy, Jordan Howard healthy at the same time.
We did once. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the New Orleans game. Sanders had 16 carries for 94 yards, and Howard had 10 carries for 63 yards.
Isn't that the game he left?
Maybe. Yeah, I think so. And then Boston Scott came in with 6 carries in that game for 16 yards. But Sanders has been just freaking crushing it in terms of on a per carry basis against the Saints, Giants, and Jets. So they were just running on everyone. But they've had pretty easy matchups except for the Saints, and they, embarrassed the Saints. Washington is a terrific run defense. I mean, they might be one of the 3 best run defenses when they're healthy. It is something to keep in mind. Devontae Smith or Terry McLaurin?
McLaurin. This is a matter of, Smith needs to score. That's the bottom. He's just not going to get a lot of targets.
If Gardner Minshew plays, would you move Smith up?
No.
Okay. How about Dallas Goedert? Let's talk about Goddard versus Pitts.
There's only one guy to compare Goddard to, in my opinion. Goddard's better than Pitts. It's Dawson Knox because, you have these 2 guys. You see what the upside is for both of them. Goddard against the Jets, he's always capable of something like that. Maybe not 2 scores, but 1 and, 60 yards. Knox has been so good, and will they throw a lot against the Panthers? That's always, on the table for them. But you said this a lot about Cole Beasley. When they win, their pass attempts are down for Josh Allen. So
yeah,
they're going to win this game against the Panthers most likely. So I like Knox better. I have that decision to make in a non-PPR league. In PPR, it's easy. I would go Goddard over Knox, but in non-PPR, I think Knox is better.
And there's one other guy I think that I would put in that conversation now, and that's Gesicki.
I'd start Goddard regardless.
Over Gesicki?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Philadelphia's DST.
Well, I guess that's a fair point. Maybe Gesicki if Waddle's out.
Right. Right. So it's like you got your must starts, and then you got Goddard, Knox, Gesicki. Maybe those 3.
Yeah, Freiermuth.
Okay. All right, Philadelphia DST, start them up and stash them for next week. They're 58% rostered. We're going to take a 30-second break. When we come back, we got Minnesota at Chicago. Kirk Cousins, prime time. Oh, no. All right. What does that mean? What has it been? What is the recent trends with Cousins playing in primetime? We'll tell you right after this. Minnesota's at Chicago Monday Night Football. I hope the weather's not terrible. I tried to find games of Kirk Cousins playing outdoors in December with Minnesota, and it really hasn't happened much because they have the dome now. None in 2020, none in 2019. Played at New England on December 2nd in 2018 and scored 10 points. I mean, there's really not much here. 2017, he wasn't great in 3 December games. He was good in one of them. So let's talk more about the primetime thing, Jamie. Did you go through all the primetime Cousins games?
No, but I have one that's burning in my brain, which is the Cowboys game where I made him start of the week that week, and he was terrible.
Week 8.
Yep.
And then there was...
But prior to that, he'd actually played well. He just has not won.
Let's not forget about last week. Thursday night, 17 fantasy points against Pittsburgh. He played a game where it looked like he could have scored a lot more. Yeah, had those 3 almost touchdowns to Justin Jefferson, so it wasn't like he was bad. But here are the numbers. Thursday night, there was a Friday night game, Sunday night and Monday night over the last 3 seasons. 9 primetime games and only 3 games with more than 17 fantasy points in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues. His 1 game with more than 22 fantasy points was a Friday night game. And that's not really prime time. Nobody's watching on Friday night. You got other things to do, even during the pandemic. So really bad in prime time over the last 3 years. But the problem with this stat is if you go to 4 years ago, his first year with Minnesota, he scored 36, 24, 32, and 12 fantasy points in 4 primetime games. So is it fluky? I don't know. He was amazing in 2018 and has struggled since with the Vikings in primetime. Anyway, the Bears do allow the 3rd most fantasy points to quarterbacks.
That's more important.
That is more important. And Eddie Jackson's on the COVID list. So what do you think?
I would start him. You know, I think, like you said, he could have had such a huge game against the Steelers. If Justin Jefferson catches the one, you know, he makes a better throw on another. The problem, I think, is how great is Dalvin Cook, because you know he's going to be great. Darisaw back, which I think is the case. He's trending in the right direction. It's huge for the offensive line, so he'll have protection. But the question always becomes, is this a big game for him? Not necessarily because it's prime time, but is this a big game where he tends to, you know, sort of shrivel up a little bit? And it's a big game. You know, they're well within the playoff hunt. They got to win this game. You know, they can't afford to take their foot off the gas, especially depending on what happens with some other teams in the NFC. So if this was a Sunday game and you don't factor in the primetime scenario, he's, you know, maybe 6 or 7. I think Heath might have him ranked that way.
I'm more worried about bad conditions. You know, December.
It's not supposed to be bad, though, right?
No, it's not. I'm going to double check right now. Yeah, I wish there was more of a history. Oh, you know what? He played a lot of cold weather games in Washington, obviously. All of his home games.
Long ago.
Yeah, I know. I guess. So, right, I think we're not really too concerned about the primetime thing. Just come through, man, and I guess you can start Cousins. So Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, their starts. How about Osborne? The toughest thing with Osborne is this possibility of Thielen coming back and it being a Monday night game, but also he's, you know, he is KJ Osborne, and if he didn't have the long touchdown, a 62-yard touchdown catch, he's awful last week.
But the targets, you have to buy into it. 9 targets in that game. I mean, he's been so consistent when the targets have been up. Just however he gets it done, he's getting it done.
It's true. 14.6 or more PPR fantasy points in 5 of 6 games with 6 to 9 targets.
Do you know where he went to school to start his career?
Buffalo.
Good job.
Yeah, oh yeah, come on. I know. He transferred to Miami from Buffalo. All right, so Osborne or McLaurin?
Oh, Osborne.
Wow, okay. Osborne or Metcalf?
Would have been closer. It's closer if Tyler Lockett plays, but Metcalf.
I'm probably going to have to end up sitting Osborne because I started Mike Williams. Turn around. It's a 30-yard play. Okay, Bears give up the 4th most points to wide receivers.
The league where I started Mike Williams, I'm playing against Mahomes.
Oh, that was bad for you then.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, just kidding. Tyler Conklin, any interest here?
Tyler Conklin.
You don't have interest in him. Yeah. You starting to Njoku over him?
Yes.
Let's go to the Bears. No, Fields is not terrible. I mean, if you give love to Cam Newton, you got to give some to Justin Fields. He's running a lot too, but only
love the
6
Cam
touchdowns.
Newton.
Well, not this week, but I mean, in the past, if we say,
Oh.
Cam Newton's got the rushing floor, Fields is running a lot. Yeah, I was just saying hasn't been that bad lately. 27,
I was
21 points.
I was impressed with what he did against the Packers. I mean, a lot of it, was the Jakeem Grant, Damiere Byrd plays that helped him.
Almost all of it was. I mean, let's be real.
I thought he handled himself well. I like the fact that he ran for 74 yards. The one turnover was horrible, the pick six, but I thought for coming off the bench, essentially for not playing the 2 previous games, still dealing with the rib injury in that environment, let your playmakers make plays.
Vikings give up the 4th most fantasy points to quarterbacks. Would you start Fields or Garoppolo?
Fields, because I think he's going to have to do more. I think the 49ers, it's so weird because I don't trust their run game per se because of Deebo Samuel. Or I don't trust the running backs because of Deebo Samuel. I think they'll be able to run on the Packers.
Okay. And David Montgomery, everybody has in the top 15, top 12 in full PPR. I just say I'm not quite as convinced on Montgomery. I'm very nervous because he's only had 1 game with Justin Fields where he's caught a lot of passes. Yes, I know it was the most recent one, but I don't know, man. He just hasn't had enough good games this year. Maybe it's a reflection of the state of running back this week. There aren't a ton that you're super confident in. But I understand most people are going to start Montgomery. You're going to start James Robinson over him, right?
Yes. And if we get to a situation where Darrell Henderson is ruled out, I would start Michelle over Montgomery. If we get to a situation where one of the Broncos guys is ruled out, I would start one of them over Montgomery. If we get to a situation where Aaron Jones is ruled out, I would start A.J. Dillon over Montgomery. So he may get bumped down a little bit.
Okay. Would you start KJ Osborne or David Montgomery?
Montgomery.
Mooney or Osborne?
Mooney.
Tell me why you like Darnell Mooney. I made a strong case against him last week, and he ended up with 1 catch for 19 yards. But part of that was Allen Robinson, and part of that was the matchup. So those 2 factors don't exist here. Minnesota's terrible against receivers. Is that why you like him?
Yeah, I mean, they give up the most fantasy points to the position. So it's not like he was playing poorly with Justin Fields before Fields went down. Dalton was just peppering him with more targets. But, you went through that start of that stretch where he was good. I think it was 12 or more points in the 2 games before Fields went down. Small sample size, but, I think he's going to get targets. I think they're chasing points. I think the secondary is bad. I hope he gets matched up on Breland. And so I think Mooney's got a chance for, some big plays.
Okay. Would you start Darnell Mooney or, let's see, let's do a running back. Darnell Mooney or Melvin Gordon, assuming Javonte Williams plays?
I would start Melvin Gordon. I mean, it's starting Darnell Mooney, but it's not like he's a slam dunk. You have to start Darnell Mooney.
Well, I don't think you have to start Melvin Gordon.
I would start Melvin Gordon.
Where do you have him? You have Gordon 18th? Yeah. See, to me, a guy who's ranked 18th this week at running back isn't a great start. And that's Javonte Williams. It's Melvin Gordon. It's Saquon Barkley.
Sure.
It's just is it a bad running back week, or am I making that up?
Yeah, I mean, you asked me before how many must-start guys I said 3. It's
right. I did ask you that. Right. Minnesota's DST just outside the top 12. Don't love them. Seattle at the Rams. Stat of the game number 1. This is wild.
I would now just to back up 1 second.
Back up.
I think with the Bears, you got to keep an eye on this illness they're dealing with, because it's non-COVID now, but one guy tests positive for COVID. Who knows what the hell they'll do?
I don't even know why we're doing this show. We're gonna have to do a brand new one on Sunday morning, guys. Things are gonna change so much. It's crazy.
Well, we do. It's 2 separate ones, but we do.
What do you mean?
Shows on Sunday morning.
Oh yeah, no, I know. Yes, so yes, you can watch 10 a.m. Eastern on HQ, and until 1, and then 11:30 a.m. on YouTube, youtube.com/fantasyfootball until 1. We will answer your start-sit questions, but it's going to be a wacky week. Seattle at the Rams. This is really interesting. It's probably just for Van Jefferson, but the Seahawks, they allow the most passing yards per game, but they've seen the most pass attempts. They got the 3rd lowest touchdown rate, though. They have a great run defense, but they give up a lot of passing yards. They just don't give up a lot of passing touchdowns or receiving touchdowns, at least to wide receivers especially. They've given up 1 touchdown catch to a wide receiver in their last 9 games. And that was Jamal Agnew. I know I bring that up a lot, but it keeps happening. They did give up 100 yards to Cooks last week. But, you look at the Rams. Stafford has been on fire. 3 straight games with 28 or more points. Cup is Cup. What about Van Jefferson? How do you feel about him? Let's do without Beckham and then with Beckham.
With Beckham, he's a number 3 receiver. Without Beckham, he's a borderline must-start guy.
Is he ahead of Mooney?
Yes.
Without Beckham. Okay. Stafford, you love this week?
Yeah, I mean, it's, love him less with the loss of Beckham, but still love him.
And then if Henderson is out, this is a big if game, right? If Henderson is out, Sony Michel would be top 12?
Yes. And
if Henderson plays, what do you do?
Back end of the starting group. I'd still start him over Henderson, but with a lot less confidence. So I'd start Sanders over him. I would start Barkley over him. I would start Zeke over him. I don't know what to do. We just haven't seen it since Michel has taken sort of this lead role. And I think if Michel had been better last week, I know there was some times where he ran well, but I think if he was looked like he did against the Jaguars 2 games ago, there's no doubt. How could the Rams go away from that? Now, they love him.
Yeah.
They love what he's been doing. But do they love him enough that they're going to say Darrell Henderson's not going to have a significant role?
So the Seahawks have a very good run defense. 3.71 yards per carry to running backs. But you know the deal. They give up the most receiving yards per game to running backs. And you get guys that usually don't catch a lot of passes that catch a ton of passes against Seattle. Henderson did not have a catch last week. Michel did not have a catch last week, but he had 3 in each of the previous 2 games he played without Darrell Henderson, and he had 20 carries in all 3 games.
Yep.
He may not have a great rush average, but he's going to get a ton of work. And there's a good chance he has a lot of catches because that's just what happens against Seattle. Okay. How about that's it for that game? Oh, for that team, right? And no, there's Higbee. You already talked about Higbee, though.
He's not a bad streamer. Scored against him the last time. I think we've seen at times this Seahawks defense just crack against tight ends.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of how many targets he's going to get. And you would think there's going to be an uptick in targets if there's no Beckham. So I don't mind him. I was just thinking about this as you brought up this game. I'm going to end up, this is going to be a decision that cost me the playoffs, is that I went with Njoku over Higbee.
And what are you going to end up doing? I thought you said you're going to go with Higbee.
No, I'm going with Njoku.
You're going with Njoku. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's the Rams. How about the Seahawks? They're much more interesting here. Russell Wilson.
If Lockett and Metcalf play, he's a low-end starter. If Metcalf is the only guy, it's so tough to say he's a slam dunk guy. But then again, who are you starting Russell Wilson? Who are you starting over Russell Wilson becomes the question. So I would start Tua over him with or without Waddle if there's no Lockett. I would start Hurts at less than 100% over Wilson if there's no Lockett. I would start Taysom Hill over Wilson if there's no Lockett. But then it gets to Garoppolo or Wilson. I'd probably still stick with Wilson. Would it be
Roethlisberger?
Huh?
Roethlisberger?
That's a tough one for me. I'd probably go Ben.
Okay. Rashad Penny. Laid it out on Wednesday's show. We talked a lot about Rashad Penny. But the Rams' run defense has just been nasty. In their last 6 games, they're giving up 3.07 yards per carry to running backs. With some decent competition in there. They've been terrific. And Penny not involved in the passing game. So did he crack your top 24 this week?
He did. I'm going to see if I can find that stat that I brought up about his carries. Yes, he's in the top 24. I think it's hopefully a good situation for him to be the lead guy, and that'll matter. More competitive game I think will matter. No Alex Collins I think will matter, depending on what they do with the second guy. So it's a good situation. It's a tough matchup, and we'll see we'll see what he does. I can't find it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Look at this question here from Grabastian. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Penny or Zeke?
Zeke, but that's one I've gone back and forth on.
Penny or Broncos guys?
Broncos guys.
Penny or Packers guys?
Jones, Penny, Dillon.
Jones, Penny, Dillon. Penny or Mooney?
Penny.
Okay. How about Metcalf if Lockett? Metcalf if Lockett's out, is everyone's going to start him. If Lockett plays, Metcalf is where?
If Lockett plays, Metcalf is in the Mooney outside top 24 group.
Any interest in Gerald Everett this week?
A little. I mean, the Rams have been really good against tight ends.
Did you see how difficult it was for him to score last week?
It's difficult for him to do everything.
He caught the ball, and he was an inch away from the end zone. I feel like it took him a really long time to get in. It's like, what is?
I mean, we were watching on replay. It looked like he didn't get in.
Yeah, it should have been such an easy touchdown. The Rams DST is interesting. Would you start the Raiders or the Rams?
I would start the Rams, especially if there is no Lockett. All right, here I found the tweet. It's from Mike Sando, who covers the Seahawks for The Athletic, I think. Yeah, I think so. All right, he works at Athletic. So Penny has 4 career games with 10-plus carries. 16 for 137, 2 touchdowns last week. 15 for 74 and touchdown against Minnesota. I don't know what year. 14 for 129 and touchdown against Philadelphia. 12 for 108 and touchdown against the Rams. So in the games where he has 10-plus carries, 57 attempts, 448 yards, 5 touchdowns, 7.8 yards per carry.
I wish you hadn't told me that, because I don't really want to start him.
Why?
I'm very nervous. I'm very nervous. The run defense is.
Well, what are your choices?
Right now, it's him or Michael Carter.
Oh, that's easy for me.
And it's full PPR.
That's easy for me.
It's Penny for you?
Yeah, I mean, you got him come back from an injury. You're facing a really good defense as well.
By the way, Mike Sando, how about Sando Ballet for a team name for him? Thank you, Jamie, for the courtesy laugh. Yeah, like I said, it's going to be Edmonds if Connor's out. If it's not, it's going to be Penny. Dallas is at the Giants. Stat of the game, Dak Prescott. He's struggling lately, man, but he owns the Giants. His last 4 healthy games. Remember, he broke his leg last year against the Giants.
1,315 yards. This is memory for you. 1,315 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 1 interception.
Woo! That's in his last 4 healthy games against the Giants?
Yes.
Pretty good. It's 26, 27, 41, and 41 fantasy points. Like or love Dak Prescott this week?
So in my scramble attempt, here's another peek behind the scenes of holy bleep. It's 5 o'clock and I don't want to piss off my editors. Who's going to be the starter of the week? And initially when I pivoted from Jalen Hurts, I'm like, who's struggling that at least I can, give some people some confidence in? And I went to Dak Prescott. So if you did see start him, sit him for about an hour on Wednesday, Dak Prescott was the start of the week. And then I was like, who has Dak Prescott and is not starting Dak Prescott? I'm like, this is just too weak. So let me find somebody else who's really been struggling and not have the same start percentage, because Dak's start percentage definitely was 89%. Now I throw out the playoffs typically because you never know who's still around.
Right.
And so it's, the only flack I usually get is from my colleagues who are a bunch of bleep holes sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
Giving me stuff about start of the week. Yeah, I think Dak's got a good opportunity here. It's the track record's amazing. So hopefully he delivers.
So how do you feel about the Cowboys in general? Who's a confident start for you in this game?
CeeDee Lamb is the best Cowboys player. I think Zeke could do well. I think what's going to happen with Zeke is, does he find the end zone? Because if you tell me he gets 60 total yards, which I think he's going to do, and scores, that's a Zeke game at this point. Now, he could have 16 score twice.
I'm going to call it 3 catches. I don't know what it's going to be. But the Giants give up a lot of catches and a lot of receiving yards to running backs.
But you brought this up before it started, when everybody was coming back, that the concern is Lamb's back, Gallup's back.
Yeah.
Cooper's back. Schultz is there.
That's when he was getting 5 or 6 catches. Right. I don't think that's happening.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah. And if Pollard plays, does it impact?
He did have 5 targets last week and caught 1.
Yeah. That's encouraging. If Pollard plays, does it impact your ranking of Ezekiel Elliott?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I know Corey Clement basically did Pollard production or Pollard workload.
Right, but Pollard's better.
Dramatically. But is also Pollard, now here's the bigger concern. Is Pollard playing, Clement active, and they don't want to work Pollard in fully, so it's now 3 guys sharing the ball.
Look, I think you got to expect like Jamie said, 60 yards. You can't expect a ton. You need a touchdown from Zeke. I think he's going to get. I mean, I feel decent about him getting it. It's hard to predict these things, but I think it's a good.
He's overdue.
He's overdue, and if they get to the end zone, toward the end zone, they've got most likely scenario. Zeke is in. Oh,
that's where the bat phone comes in, and Jerry Jones is like, I don't care what you do. He's getting three carries inside the 5.
All right, starter sit Amari Cooper. We like him in good matchups.
I'm going to move Zeke up.
To where?
Not much, but ahead of Barkley. The question you asked me earlier, Zeke over Barkley.
Okay, Zeke over. Cooper, starter sit.
Start. I think you healthy Cooper, I'll take my chances with him. He may get you the similar stat line, 5 for 50 and not score like he did last week, but I just don't trust this Giants defense very much right now.
You start Cooper over Mooney?
Yes.
Over Gage?
Yes.
Over Macho?
Over Ayuk, over Metcalf, over Parker, over, it's that the way that I kind of did my rankings was, okay, where's the last guy? Over Parker.
Ooh. All right, I'll disagree. I'll go Parker over Cooper.
That's fine. They're back to back.
Obviously without Waddle.
Yep. I have no problem with that.
By the way, did you get I know you didn't hear it, but do you know my over Macho Grande reference?
No.
Oh, okay. Airplane 2. Terrific scene. Michael Gallup is more of a number 3 receiver, but Gallup is getting a ton of targets that you could do worse.
He really is.
In DFS. I mean, if you just want a piece of the passing game. Yeah. So, okay. Dalton Schultz, starter sit.
I think you have to sit him. I mean, it's such a poor opportunity for him because of everybody there. This was the fear. Now he could score. Certainly would not be surprised that happens, but can't trust it with everybody healthy.
So we're going to sit the Giants passing game. Could be Mike Glennon and Jake Fromm in this game. Barkley is really the biggest question here. Davis, the high guy, for sure. He's got him in the top 12. You've got him more like 18th, I think, Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Barkley or a Packers running back?
Non-PPR, Barkley over both of them. PPR, give me Jones over Barkley.
It's very weird. It's not a great run defense per se, but they give up the 4th fewest fantasy points to running backs. They rarely give up big games to running backs. But Booker was one of the guys who did have a big game when he faced the Cowboys when Barkley got hurt. But it just has not been a matchup that running backs go crazy in. It's hard to do. And we're not starting.
They just suffocated Gibson last week too.
They did. And Micah Parsons is going to. He might as well just line up next to Mike Glennon. He'll be there for most of the game.
Do you think is Micah Parsons the defensive player of the year as well as the rookie defensive player of the year?
For a while I thought it was going to be Trayvon Diggs. I don't know. I mean, I'm probably not qualified to answer this. Aaron Donald's probably better than him.
Well, Myles Garrett's in the conversation too.
Myles Garrett's been great. Sorensen.
But the kid is making impact plays. I mean, it's not just that he's getting numbers; he's making impact.
Yeah,
plays. He's going to break. If he stays healthy, he's going to break Javon Curse's rookie sack record. And
I think it's a great case.
There's nobody that's like jumping off the page, except him. If he's not a rookie, he's winning it.
Yeah. What about Sorensen? For player. No, just. All right, can we do 3 games in 10 minutes? You ready?
Yes.
Arizona at Detroit.
Start all, sit all. Next.
We'll do a little bit longer than that.
Yeah.
Did you downgrade Kyler Murray without Hopkins?
Yeah, a couple spots.
But he's 5th for you still, or is that outdated?
He is top 7.
Okay, no streamers over Kyler?
No.
All right, we've pretty much laid out the running back situation. If Edmonds is the only guy, he's a must start. If Connor's in, he's back to being a must start. The Lions are just the worst. Now, actually, if Connor plays, could this be the matchup that Edmonds actually could be good in? I mean, what do you think?
If Connor plays, they're both together, you mean?
Yeah. Because last week, you liked both.
Oh no, I would
Broncos guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna readjust it today, and I think Edmonds gets a bump just because the matchup is so good, and Connor's not 100%. Now, Edmonds first still has to play. I mean, they can still say, you know what, Connor's good. Sit one more week. Make sure you're 100% healthy for the stretch run. So. Edmonds gets activated. I think you've got to consider him a borderline starter in every format, just because, like you said, it's a great matchup, and Connor is not going to be 100%.
And if Connor, let's assume Connor, it doesn't matter, I guess. Wide receiver question. You said earlier you like St. Brown the best in this game over Green and Kirk in full PPR. You like Kirk better than St. Brown and Green in non-PPR. So do you think any of them have like a big must-start game? Are you treating any of them in that way?
No, I think St. Brown is probably like 15 PPR points, so not monster game. I don't think he scores. So you're looking at like, 7 for 80 in that range, as a ceiling.
Okay.
8 for 70.
And I think I may have asked you this earlier, but Ertz
or Kirk and Green certainly have touchdown potential.
Yeah.
I probably have Green too low.
Ertz or Pitts?
Ertz in PPR for sure. Pitts and maybe Ertz in both.
And by the way, you may have Green too low. He might have more touchdown potential. He has the second most red zone targets and second most green zone targets on the team behind DeAndre Hopkins. And I think I may have had one other. Nah, that's all I have on that. But yeah, he's been a guy that gets looked at in money where they make their money in the end zone, baby. All right. Zach Ertz is a top 10 tight end. Jared Goff is not a top 10 quarterback. And if Jamal Williams plays, does he become a must start? He had 15 and 17 carries in the last 2 games without Swift. One of them, Swift, left with an injury.
No, I think they would probably split the touches between them.
Okay.
So
you mean between him and Craig Reynolds?
Yeah, I think he'd be a flex.
Okay. Obviously, if Swift plays, you're going to start him. This is not a good run defense. They just don't get run on a lot, kind of like the Cowboys. And you like St. Brown. He's 44% rostered, and that is it for this game. Arizona's DST is top 4. Atlanta at San Francisco. Stat of the game. In 6 of their last 9 games, the Falcons have held a lead running back to 3.85 yards per carry or less. They've actually had a very good run defense. Like both of these run defenses are good. Just in terms of per carry, they're good. But I know you're going to start Patterson. So I guess if Elijah Mitchell plays, given how long he's been out, not a lot of practice, not a great matchup, and the Debo factor, would Elijah Mitchell be a slam dunk?
He'd be in my top 24. Yeah, so I'd start him over Barkley. I would start him over probably Zeke. I would start him over Gibson. I'd start him over Dillon and Jones in non-PPR.
So that means you'd start him over Penny.
I'd start him over Penny.
Okay. And Matt Ryan is a sit. Patterson is a start. Russell Gage is a start. And I asked you earlier, Gage or Ayuk. You said Ayuk. So we'll go a little lower then. If James Conner plays, would you start Chase Edmonds or Russell Gage?
James Conner plays, I'll start Gage.
Would you start Gage over AJ Green?
I would start Gage in PPR, Green and non.
Okay. What are we thinking about?
I think we have to. Is Mosley playing for the 49ers?
No, he's on IR.
He's on IR.
And they've been really bad without him. It's a really good point because Gage is not just a slot receiver anymore. He's playing outside a lot. Mosley is their best cornerback. I looked at the games in which he either didn't play or left with an injury. It's been bad. So it's something to keep in mind.
I think that might help Pitts more so than Gage.
It could. Let me see if I can get the exact stat on Mosley here. So Pitts did crack your top 10. I think he's 9th for everyone.
Oh, boy. If you don't have the Eagles DST, you better get him now.
Oh, what happened?
Taylor Heineke tested positive for COVID.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes, he did. Also, I saw Cleveland signed quarterback Kyle Lauletta.
Yep.
So that tells you something about their quarterback situation.
Well, they got to cover themselves.
Yeah, sure. Well then. Definitely not starting McLaurin now.
No. And Gibson's probably a much more riskier play too.
So to the Niners, Garoppolo is outside the top 15. I think he's 15th for Heath. He's 17th for Jamie. I know you're just thinking they're going to run the ball, win kind of easily. And he throws a lot when they lose, and they're probably not going to lose. Huge game here, by the way. Falcons-Niners. We talked a lot about you're not interested in Jeff Wilson, right?
No, it's so hard to be. I mean, he's getting so much work, but just not doing anything with it, which is so frustrating, because, think about where we were last year with him. He was winning people leagues.
I know. But Debo is their best running back.
Debo is their best running back.
and Wilson doesn't catch the ball. And Debo's a must start, even though it's been a little nerve-wracking lately. Ayuk is a good start. Yeah. We've talked a lot about Ayuk. You can feel confident in him. Would you say that?
No, but he's a good start.
There just aren't that many great starts. And let's go to New Orleans, Tampa Bay, because you're starting George Kittle, and the Niners DST is also.
It's funny you mentioned that. I have that decision to make against you of Brandon Ayuk and Russell Gage.
I would start Ayuk.
Or what I could do is I could play Patterson at running back. And then that's over. Well, so here's my choices. This is my matchup against you. I have Antonio Gibson, Saquon Barkley, Sony Michel, and AJ Dillon.
I'm trying not to pay attention here.
Or
I want to know.
Or I could bench one of those guys, play Patterson, and then go with Gage, Ayuk, and CeeDee Lamb, the receiver.
I don't care. I mean, I'm going to kick your ass anyway. Our projections
have me favored, which is weird.
Favored. Our projections is a very high scoring league. It's IDP start a bunch of guys.
Your team is so much better than mine too.
Yeah, I mean it should be, but it's Marquise Brown, it's DK Metcalf, it's Evans in a tough matchup, but it's Darren Waller on the bench. So
I can maybe catch you.
Yeah. Our projections was Jamie 179, Adam 178.75. Those were the original projections. And after last night, it is 50% to 50%. We're projected for almost the same exact points.
I think I'm going to bench Gibson.
I think it's not a bad idea.
And if Darrell Henderson's out.
Yeah, that's the thing. Now I have to root for Darrell Henderson to come back. But I have Sony Michel in two other leagues. This is why I don't look at my matchups, JB. New Orleans at Tampa Bay.
Russell Gage in.
Last game here. New Orleans at Tampa Bay. Start all Bucs.
Falcons, though.
We talked about Ronald Jones earlier in the injury section, but start all Bucs. Start Kamara. He actually does have pretty good history against the Bucs, even with this terrific run defense. And he was very involved in the pass.
I forgot Kyle Allen's on the reserve COVID-19 list too. They had to sign somebody today.
So what does this mean for your team? Who are you excited about?
For Washington?
Oh, for Washington. For your does this mean anything for Gibson? Or you're just saying?
No, I was just saying it. Yeah.
On a new topic. Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry, doing my job.
Yeah, please stop. New Orleans at Tampa Bay is start all Bucs and Taysom Hill. You do have 12th. You're the high guy on Taysom Hill. So right now you have Hill and Wilson back to back, right?
I do.
You go Tua, Hill, Wilson. And that's Wilson without Lockett, right?
Yep.
What if Lockett plays?
Wilson will go ahead of Taysom.
All right. So Taysom is ahead of Roethlisberger, Fields, Garoppolo, Joe Burrow, Derek Carr. He is obviously risky. Kamara is top 6 in both formats. Traquan Smith would be your favorite wide receiver. Remember I said yesterday I had to choose between David Johnson and Traquan Smith? Mm-hmm. I'm starting both of them. I forgot. My team is even worse than I thought. Nick Vannett is outside the top 20, but he does have 40-plus yards in 2 straight games. Brady, yes. Fournette, if he plays, absolutely. He's got such a great role in the passing game, but he sucked against New Orleans in week 8. 8 carries, 3 catches, 33 total yards. His worst game by far since becoming the feature back, which is why I wonder if Ronald Jones really would be a must start if he's the guy. I can understand respecting Fournette, but yeah, Okay, well, I think we talked about that earlier.
Yes, I mean, it's not a slam dunk, but I think just given the workload and this offense and the touchdown potential, that I would start.
Cool. And that's it for this game because you're starting Godwin and you're starting Evans. I'm not starting. It's DFS. It's a Sunday night game anyway. But if you're playing a showdown or whatever, I wouldn't start Evans. He just is awful.
Here are the Washington quarterback group: Garrett Gilbert, Kyle Schumer, and Jordan Ta'amu.
I know where 2 of them went to college. I don't know where Jordan Ta'amu went.
Was it Oregon?
That's what I want to say. Let's see. I think Shermer went to Vanderbilt. And Gilbert, Texas Tech. Does anybody care about this? Jordan?
I mean, the show's a marathon already.
Yeah, what are we at? Hour 25. Holy cow. We got to go. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you so much for watching and listening.
I'm going to talk to you so much today. It's crazy.
Yeah. God, I hope I beat you in IDP. I really do.